I want to introduce myself. I am Connie Taylor. I'm the Director of Client Relations and Project Implementation. I've been with Avenue for close to 24 years. And we also have Lori Parsons on the webinar. Lori Parsons is our Client Relations Manager. She's going to be taking questions throughout the webinar, and then at the end, she's going to kind of review all the questions and we'll answer those. So please, if you have any questions, let us know. So hopefully everyone is at least familiar with our website and the portal. This is the Government Service Center portal. For years, we called it the online reports because there was more static reports that we offered, where now it's an interactive portal. So you're able to look at data from our system, as well as make edits, make payments, and updates. So to access the portal, you'll access that through our Avenue website. Once you access it, you'll click on Client Login. Once you click on Client Login, that will take you to the login page. I'm on a sample account because we have taxpayer data. So if you see anything that looks a little odd, or I'm, if I'm using older dates, that's why it's a sample account that we've got set up. So when you are set up for the portal, you'll receive 2 emails from our client support group. It's clientsupport@avenueinsights.com. The first email that you receive will receive a link to the report, and that link will take you directly to the login page. You'll also receive your username, which 95% of the time your username is going to be your email address. The only time you'll have a different username is if maybe there's a shared email that several users share, then we'll have to set you up with a different one. You'll also have a second email that comes to you that's going to have a temporary password. I call this an IT-friendly password. There's some characters, I'm not even sure where they are on the keyboard. I tell everyone, if you'll copy the copy the password directly out of your email and then paste it for your first time to log in, you'll be able to do that a little bit easier. Then you'll click on sign in, and on your first login, the system will prompt you to set your own passwords. Because this is taxpayer and business data, passwords do change every 90 days, and we just do that for confidentiality reasons. But anytime you have a password change, the system's going to let you know, hey, your password's expired, you need to change it. It'll let you set your own, kind of like that first time. But if you ever have any issues logging in, please reach out to our client support group. And we have several staff that if you email the client support or call in, they'll be able to jump in and assist you and walk you through. One thing I always like to point out, at the very top of your login, your welcome page, you'll see this Contact Us button. That Contact Us will open up an email, so you can email directly into the client support group. So anytime you have a question about a report or just something that kind of looks odd, please reach out and let us know. So we have a lot of information to cover, so I'm just going to kind of jump right in. I'm going to start with the reconciliation reports. I know most people know these, but the reconciliation report is going to show you your money. So it's going to show transfers that we've made. And like I said, this is a little bit older data, so some of my dates might be a little bit older. But you can run this reconciliation report for a day, a week, a month, a year if you want. The detail is going to allow you to take the detail report in your bank statement and match that up. So that's going to detail out every day, so you'll be able to see the transfers made. Now, we do have some clients where we might administer different taxes for. This will definitely cover business license or occupational license. But if you see any other taxes on here, that's why, with the sample account. But this will show, for example, January the 12th. For this sample client, we transferred $67.33. So you'll be able to match this one up to your bank statement. There's several export options for our reports. If your PC computer is hooked up directly to a printer, there will be a little print icon on the screen. Mine's not, but you have export options. You have PDF. That's the most commonly used. You also have Word, Excel, CSV. But to export, super easy. You'll just click on the PDF. And then you'll see your downloads should pop up. You can click on Open File, and then you're able to print this out. All right, so the reconciliation detail, like I said, matches, it shows every day. Reconciliation summary is the same information, but it just summarizes it. Sometimes if our clients are being audited, maybe by the state examiners, or if they have an internal auditor come in, they kind of like to run the reconciliation summary report because you're able to summarize and show overall what's been transferred or what's been dispersed or collected for a year. All right, so now let's go into we have a detailed payment listing report and an expanded detailed payment listing report. Let me go back to my older dates. So once you run the detailed payment listing, you'll have a tax type drop down. This will only show the taxes or the licenses that we administer for. So if we only administer business license, that's going to be the only thing that's going to be visible. So we're going to select business license, view report. One thing I like about the detailed payment listing is it's going to default to your transfer date, but you can also run this by tax period because a lot of time with licenses, it's more geared off the tax period. So you could select tax period on here. And if you only wanted to see, your 2023 licenses, you could run that. All right. So with the detailed payment listing, this gives you more of a quick snapshot of all the businesses that make up your deposits. So when you do run this report by transfer date, this will always match back to your reconciliation report. So if we transferred $67 to you, on January the 2nd, you'll be able to run this report for January the 2nd and see which businesses make up that transfer. Now, there's not as much information on this report. There are on others, but this is more a quick snapshot. So it'll be just an alphabetical listing of all the businesses. And then at the bottom, it'll summarize the total. Now, on the detailed payment listing report, this is probably going to be one that you're going to want to run by like Excel or a CSV if you want to export it. CSV exports the cleanest. Sometimes when you export these to Excel, because of the header, it kind of groups certain fields together. All right. The expanded detailed payment listing report contains the same information as the detailed payment listing report, but with the expanded report, the expanded report will actually show you the day that we received it in our office. It'll show the day we entered in our system. It'll show the postmark date, and then it'll show the day it dispersed to you. Because sometimes, we might receive a payment today. We have to, of course, wait for it to hit the bank account. Then once we see it on the bank account, then we're able to disperse those funds to you. And I'll show you real quick on the expanded detailed payment listing, the additional fields on there. And this would be another report that you would want to export to a comma delimited to CSV file to view. All right, so once again, same information. It'll show the account number, the taxpayer name, the period that they filed for. It'll show any kind of base and tax or licenses that's due. This is where it'll show the postmark date. It'll show the day we entered it into our system, the transfer date, and disbursement date. This also shows batch source. So with batch source, you'll be able to see any payments that are made online, internet, or paper form. And it will also show the NAICS code. This is a newer feature that we have. It'll show the NAICS code. That's the North American Industry Classification. And it'll show the description as well. So it'll show the description of what that business primarily does. So let's go back to the report menu. So we've done the recons. We've done the payment listings. Real quick, let's show the dashboard. So with the dashboard, we kind of think of that as like the dashboard of your car. It's going to be a quick snapshot overall of how your municipality is performing. So we won't run it for such a long date range. Let's do January 1 through March 31st. Once again, it'll only show the tax types that we administer. And then for clients where we audit and admin both, you can show or you can run this by the type of revenue. So we'll just do admin revenue. This report pulls from a lot of different sections in our system. So sometimes the dashboard might take a few more seconds to run, although it's still pretty quick. So the first graph is going to show, it's going to plot out each month's disbursement. So it's going to show how much we administer, how much we collected for that month. The second grouping is going to show your top 5 taxpayers, what piece of the pie they make up as far as dollar amount and percentage. And then it's going to show all other taxpayers, how much money, and then the percentage. We have a summary. So I have selected a date range of 1/1/2023 through March of 2023. So this is going to show the last 12-month average. It's going to show the highest month. It's going to show the lowest month. It's going to show the period, the same period last year, percentage of change. And then we have your top 5 taxpayers, how much money they bring in for the 3-month period, and then all other businesses and what they bring in. We also have listed out the top 5 businesses. We put their name, we put the percentage of what they brought in, and then all other businesses. Now, at any time, our client support group can run this, and we call it a no-name dashboard. So it would show taxpayer 1, taxpayer 2, taxpayer 3. Currently, this is only a function that we're able to run internally, but we are working at putting this on the portal. But if you want this report maybe for a city council meeting, please let us know, and we can definitely run that really quickly and get that to you. The next groupings of reports show your business classification, and that's by that NAICS, that North American Industry Classification. So it shows their current ranking. It shows prior ranking. It'll show the description. It'll show the actual code. It'll show the dollar amount of licenses or tax that have been brought in, and it'll show what percentage that grouping makes of your total. And then the next group shows the top 5 business classifications showing the most growth in taxes. So for the 3-month period that I entered, these 5 groups show the most growth. And it will also show the dollar amount of change and the percentage of change. We have grouping or reports that show taxes by tax type. Now, if we're only administering business license or occupational license, you might only have one line on here. But if we do administer multiple, you'll be able to see the license or tax type and what percent it makes overall. And then same way for the clients where we might do a general, rental or general or different types of rate codes, this splits out your rate codes. Your last report is going to show the history for your top 5 taxpayers. And once again, we can do this with that no-name dashboard, so just keep that in mind. But it'll plot out month by month how much they've remitted in or year by year for the licenses, so you'll kind of be able to see that on here. Once again, you can always, I suggest to export this to a PDF just because it prints out nicer, but you can export that to a PDF and save it or print it. All right, we're going to do our net revenue comparison chart. So the net revenue comparison chart is going to plot out month by month how much we've collected and dispersed. Once again, if we audit or do only tax administration, you can select, or if we do both for you. So that's a couple options on here. I'm going to select business license only on this one. Then you need to select which month your fiscal year begins in. It's going to default to October because the majority of our clients have an October 1 fiscal year start date. But if you want to run this calendar, you can select January, or I know some clients have a July fiscal start date. So you're able to select that. So this will plot out month by month. Of course, this is a newer client, but for clients where we've administered, you'll have the full year on there, but this will plot out month by month the total amount that's been collected. Since I selected fiscal year to begin in October, this will also plot out fiscal year to date totals. So it'll take, October through September of every year, and it'll compare it and it'll chart and graph that out for you. We have history and trends reports. So the history and trends, there's by jurisdiction and by beneficiary. The majority of our clients only have one beneficiary, especially for licenses and fees. Usually it's with taxes, you get into multiple beneficiaries, but you have the capability to run this report either way. So on this report, you're going to select your report year. You're going to select which report month you want to use. It's going to default to August because that's the most recent completed month. This is older data, so I'm going to select January of 2023, and then I'm going to select that our fiscal year begins in October. So this will show the current year. So since I've selected January 2023, it's going to take January 2023, compare it to January of 2022. It's going to show the change amount and the percentage amount of the change. And this, like I said, shows by tax type. So if we only administer licenses, you're probably only going to have one line. But I do like this report because it's going to take the current month and compare it to the prior month. And I said this wrong to begin with. So this is actually taking January of 2023, comparing it to December of 2022 in the first grouping. And then the next grouping is going to take the current month and compare it to the same month last year. So it'll take January of 2023 compared to January of 2022. Then you're going to have your last 3 months versus the same 3 months last year and show the dollar amount of change and percentage of change. And then depending on whatever month you selected for your fiscal year to begin, it'll take fiscal year to date totals, compare it to last fiscal year to date. It's just a different way to show your revenues, because sometimes you might look just at the prior month and go, oh my goodness, I'm down. Well, it might be that every February of every year you trend up or you trend down. So that's why we like to look at the revenue different ways. All right, so let's see, we've covered this. Monthly transaction summary. So with the monthly transaction summary, this will actually show you by tax or license type how many transactions that we've processed. Most clients like to run this just for a month. And once again, it'll default to what we administer for. We're going to select business license. So this also expands because a lot of times with licensing, you might have an issuance fee, but this will show how many transactions we've processed either for a license fee, issuance fee, or any late payments, because sometimes, we group those late payments. It'll show the dollar amount. It'll show the net sales, what it's based off of, the net tax paid. Some clients, we take fees off the top. There's some clients that we invoice for. Any clients, if we take your fees off the top, you'll see administration fees, audit fees, and then the net funds that were dispersed or transferred to you. All right. Top remitters reports. So we group the top remitters reports. We have top remitters overall. We have the top increases and the top decreases. So it might be 1 month you've increased, over the prior year. You could pull the top remitters increases, and it's going to sort we can run this from 5 to 100. Let me see real quick. Let me start doing my input. Let's see, I'm going to run this January. So we're going to go January 1st to the 31st. You can run this either by net tax paid or the net sales. We're going to run this by net tax paid. Like I said, you can go from 5 to 100. Usually 35 is going to cover around 75 to 85% of your revenue. It just kind of depends on the size of your jurisdiction. So that's why it defaults. It's also what prints out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. But you can, like I said, always run this up to 100. If for some reason you want to see your top 200, you can always reach out to our client support group, and we can run this for every taxpayer if needed. Sometimes this one does take a little bit of time to run. So this will list out the taxpayer account number, the taxpayer name. If we have the DBA on file, it'll show that NAIC description. It'll show tax type, rate type. It'll show the current year amount. Once we've been administering for at least a year or more, it'll show the prior year amount. It'll show the dollar amount of change as well as the percentage of change. So like I said, this is great, especially the increases. If you've noticed kind of a bump in revenue over the last year, this will kind of drill down and show you, okay, it's these 4 taxpayers or this 1 taxpayer or license payer, and you'll be able to see that. And the top remitters works the same. It just sorts it overall by your top remitters. Not so much the top increases, but just the top remitters. And then the decreases will display the same information, but it'll sort it based on your highest amount of decrease in sales or tax or licenses paid in. All right, so we've kind of gotten, new taxpayers. Let me show you that one. Then we'll kind of get into more of the new reports. So this will show you any new accounts or liabilities that we've set up in our system. So a lot of businesses or a lot of our clients like to run this listing for a month to see who all's new. Because sometimes even if we're administering the license, there might be some other kind of approval that they should have received, especially brick and mortar before setting up. So you'll be able to see any new accounts or liabilities set up. So now we'll go down to our business license reports. I know most of you are familiar with the business license detail and summary reports. We'll go over these kind of quickly. So let's see, I'm going to run back to January. Once again, you can enter in any time frame. So if you want to run this for a month, 3 months, I like this report because you can actually run this by issued, not issued, or both. So there might be times where we've received a payment from a business, but maybe they should have sent in, say it's an electrician, they've not sent in their state certification that they're an electrician. So we would put that license on hold because we need that state certification information, but we will still process that money and transfer that money to you. So that's kind of where you come into the issued, not issued, or both. And usually once we set up a new client, when we work through the requirements gathering process, that's where we decide, okay, we're going to hold this, we're going to hold for this. Some clients want us to hold for if they're delinquent for prior year licenses. Some clients want all new hold because they want to look at all those new applications. So anything renewal, they might let us issue as long as everything's in order, but anything new they want to look at first. You can also select license year. So if you want to select just 1 year or multiple, because sometimes you might have some businesses that as they're paying the current license year, they've realized, oh, I've not reported last year's. So you can pick and choose on those. I'm going to run this for both because I like seeing the licenses that have been issued and not issued. This one does take a little bit of time to run. All right, so this is the detailed business license report. There's also a summary, but the detail report, if a business has multiple fee schedules, so like if it's a gas station and, there's a license schedule for number of pumps or, anything that's sold inside the gas station or tobacco or, beer off premise, each of those is a schedule. So the detail report will list out each schedule, where the summary report is going to summarize it by business. So I like the detail report because you'll be able to see. So this one's a contractor. So they have concrete contractors. They have all the multiple schedules and how much they've reported in on that. So you'll see the account number, the account name, DBA, doing business as name. If the license has been issued, you'll actually see the license or certificate number printed on here. It'll also display an issue date. So like this business right here, 1101 Levon, that one has not been issued. So this one's on hold. We're waiting for something on that one. This also shows license certificate year that they have filed for. Like I said, it'll show the description, gross receipts. If it's based off number of units, we'll show number of units. It'll show the license or certification fee. If there's a late fee, interest, additional penalties, that's just depending on your fee schedule. And then it's going to show the total amount that was paid by business. This one, if I exported it, I would export this to an Excel or probably a CSV, comma delimited. All right. So some of our newer reports that we have for business license, we have business license year-over-year report and business license category report. So with the business license category report, there's a couple of search criteria that you're going to have to enter in. So I'm going to select 2023. I'm going to select both. So I want to see issued and not issued. We're going to select from date and a through date. So let me go back to January. And then this one's annual. We kind of have different. We have some clients for licenses it's quarterly, but this is an annual client. So now I've selected all my criteria. I'm going to select begin report. So this is going to group it by schedule type. So for example, this client has accountants. There's a lot. You can see along the bottom of this. It's going to be easiest to export this, but this will show by your schedule. You can click right there to expand, and it'll show the account number, each account name, license number, shows the schedule number, if there's a code that's related to it, the category count, total units, because this is an account, it's based on each accountant, the dollar amount paid. If it's a license that's based on gross receipts, this one's not. It will show you the gross receipts, and it'll show you the date that it's issued. Anytime you export, it's super easy. You'll just click on the export. Once the report's downloaded, you can open the file, and this will export to Excel. Like I said, super easy, the same information. And then, if you wanted to, you could always highlight, you could add your filters on here. And then so for description, you could, of course, always go in and select a certain description. Say you wanted to see we'll take antiques, any antique dealer. You could filter and see those on this report. All right, let's go back to our reports. We have business license year-over-year report. This one's very close, but it's still in the works. I don't think it's going to display on here, but I still wanted to show you just more of the header so you could see what all information is going to be included on here. So it's going to allow you to select a year for comparison. So if you wanted to compare 2023 to 2022, or even 2023 to 2021, you could enter that in. And once you hit begin report, it's going to take by schedule, by classification. It's going to show schedule number, schedule code, schedule description. It's going to show prior year period, current year period, and it's going to show a dollar amount. So if you want to see overall if accountants are up or if they've remitted in more or less, this report will show that. So like I said, it's coming soon. Still in the works. We're still tweaking this one. So let's go payment search. So sometimes you might have a business come into City Hall, says I've paid for my license, we've searched, we cannot find that. You are able to search by payment amount. Of course, if I select 100, there's no telling how many it's going to display, but you'll enter in your dollar amount and select begin report. Based on how many records, it'll take it a little bit of time to pull. All right. So I've selected $55. This will show any business that has remitted in $55. It'll show the taxpayer number, the name, tax type, rate code, the transaction date, tax period, and then the net tax due. Anytime on these reports where you see the blue link with that, you can always click on that, and that'll actually take you into that taxpayer. And this is going to kind of lead us into the next. So the easiest way to kind of look at a taxpayer is to click on our account search. So with our account search, we've added new fields to this report. Y'all probably noticed over the past few months. Before we just, had the account number, which you're not always going to know that, the account name or DBA, contact or address. So now we've added, so if we capture your state ID, any kind of state ID information for that taxpayer, we have state ID. Sometimes we'll have external IDs when we do client setup. You can also search by NAICS code or any kind of state or other code, and phone number is a newer one. So on this one, I've got one of my sample accounts. I'm going to hit search. Now you'll see a couple of radio buttons on here. So you can search for account status. So you can search open accounts, closed accounts, or all. Also, we store contact information on the screen. So if we do have the contact information, you can search by primary contact or all. And then address, you can search by mailing, physical, or both. The system's going to default to everything, to all on each of these three radio buttons. So that's why sometimes you might see multiple accounts listed because it's picking up. So for this one, it's picking up a mailing, it's picking up a physical, and then more than likely on this one, they have a different physical address. So if there's multiple locations under one account, multiple physical addresses, so that's why you'll see the multiple listings. And then same way, if there's multiple contacts listed on an account and you've got all selected, you might see that. So transcript is going to show more just high level how that business is set up in our system. This is more if you have anyone, maybe like a license inspector that just kind of wants to take the high level information. They can print out this transcript. It's going to show more just how that account's set up in our system, the NAICS code, NAICS description. It will also show business license information. So it's going to show what license years they've purchased, the license number. If we've issued it, it'll show the date issued. It'll show the valid from and through dates. If it's held, it will list, there's a legend to show why it's held, whether it's like a new business, held for units, held for gross receipts, that type of information. It also shows which schedules that they have filed for. So anytime if there's an inspector that's visiting, doing any kind of on-site visits, these can be printed out. So we're going to go back to this taxpayer search. When you click on the actual account number, the account number is going to pull up and kind of show a view similar to how our system, how we view our own system. So there are some fields now that you're able to edit. So if someone comes into City Hall and they say, I've changed addresses, I've moved to 555 Main Street, you can click on edit. and you can actually edit mailing addresses. Anything that's editable, you'll see where you'll actually be able to go in and edit that information. You can also cancel, or you can save changes on here. And this talks to our system of record. So it's communicating in real time. So anytime you do an update, it's automatically writing over to our system and doing those updates. And it lets our system know as well that it was a city or, a town or, it was a municipality that updated that. So I'm going to hit cancel edit. So this first screen is more just the basic account information. We do have some of our business license clients that have additional information, and this is all done during that requirements and the setup. So if you do have additional information, that will be on this tab. There's a contacts tab. So for accounts, if we do have one contact or multiple contacts, you'll be able to see all of those contacts. Liabilities are only going to pertain back to your jurisdiction. So if we only administer business license for your municipality, that's going to be the only the only liability that you're going to be able to see here. One good thing I like is you also be able to see a start date, and that if that account is closed and we've closed that down, you'll be able to see a stop date. You can actually edit liabilities. So if someone comes into City Hall and says, I've closed, as of December 31st, you can edit and you can actually update to enter that stop date. So let's do this one. Since it's a sample account, it doesn't matter. You can enter 12/31 and it'll update liabilities. Locations, if there's multiple locations, it'll list each of those out. Under the business license tab, that's where you're going to be able to see the license number and see exactly how this business is filed. So when you see this little blue on this license number, you're able to select. And this will give you a view like our system. So this will show you how the payment was actually posted and received. If you can't see the bottom, sometimes you might have to pull some of these screens up. It'll show account number, DBA, address. If it's a new business, that will be selected. If they've selected as a final return, this is our last filing, that will be selected. We have some clients that have inside city limits, outside city limits. So that's an option on here. Some of our clients have police jurisdictions. I know not all do. But this will show the postmark date. If it's based off number of employees, that's captured. And then you're also able to see the license number that we've generated, and you'll see the schedule numbers. So if there's multiple or just one, you can always click on that actual schedule number, and that pops up and shows the detail of how that information came in our system, how we posted it, and how everything's calculated. I'm going to hit cancel on there. This kind of shows you if it's on hold for a certificate or if a certificate is required. This is how we capture that information. So I think this one, they wanted it to only be released by the city. No, actually, this one was released by the city. So on this one, we had this on hold for a certificate. They went into City Hall. City Hall provided it. So they actually went into our portal and was able to notate that. So I'm going to hit cancel on that one. BL delinquencies. This is another option that's coming soon. It's very close. It's in QA, but you'll be able to click on the BL delinquencies tabs and see any delinquencies for as long as we've been the administrating agent. It'll show the description, it'll show the year, so what's still needed on that. We have a notes tab. So the notes tab, anytime an update's made to the system of record or anytime this business calls in, we notate that. So since I went in and edited the liability, you'll see this note entered in by me. This is how I log into this account. It'll time and date stamp it. It'll show before how that field looked and then after. So it shows, where it was open and I closed at 12/31. And then anytime, so also on this account, there was a waiver granted. Of course, we always communicate with clients before we just waive any type of penalty. We'll reach out to the city and say, hey, this business typed up this letter and sent it in, or they've requested a waiver because of this. And then we note anytime that's granted. If you want to enter a note, so you're able to go on here, select the note type. So we're going to do note. Let's do a call. And then category, so you can see tax administration, audit. We'll select business license, business contacted City Hall regarding delinquency. We'll mail in payment today. However you want to word that, you can hit save. That writes over to our system of record. It will also time and date stamp it as well below. Taxpayer documents. So we're working on taxpayer documents anytime certifications are needed. We're working, this is coming soon. It's already in here, but we're working on for any type of business license certifications, uploading these and having these on the portal. And then payment history will show any payments that have been made. It will show our internal batch number. It'll show the tax type, rate type, the tax period they're filing for, the postmark date. It'll show the check amount, the day we transferred funds over to that client, the source. Here's where if you'll see the internet, if it's an internet payment, or business license just means it's a paper form that actually came in. It'll show disbursement date. All right, so let's go back to account search. So one of our newer functions is if a business comes in to City Hall and you want to post a payment. So if you want to post a license payment, you're actually able to post that. So you'll, of course, go to account search. You'll find that account, however you want to search. And over here on the right, you'll see manage, and you'll see license, tax, and notes. So license is where you'll actually be able to come in and enter a license payment. So a couple of things to kind of keep in mind. You'll need to make sure you put the postmark date or what day they come into City Hall to pay it, because, you know, based on when the license is due, this is going to trigger if it's a delinquent payment or if it's late or not. So really be careful on that postmark date to select. We'll leave it as the 18th because that's going to make this license payment late. So this is a 2023 license annual. A lot of this is going to default, but you know, you kind of have options. If you want to capture how they pay you at City Hall, a lot of clients do. So that's why we have cash, check, or credit card. That's entirely up to you. We have some clients that send everything over as check, but however y'all want to capture that and reconcile it, but just know these options are here. So we're going to select check. If it's a new business, you're able to select new business. If not, that means it's just your standard renewal. You can select final return. If you know they're closed, you can enter a close date or number of employees. It's kind of the same information as when we post this in our system. If you need to add a location, say you have a CVS pharmacy and there's already one location there in the city and they're going to open a new one, you can click on add location to actually add a whole brand new location. And you just enter the just basic information, address, DBA, city, state, postal code. If you know if it's a residential or not. A lot of our clients like to track if it's residential. If not, you know, you can leave that blank. You can also location start date. So if a CVS pharmacy open, you know, September 1, you can enter this new location with a start date of September the 1st. I said November 1. And then you just click on add new location. So on this one, I'm going to add a payment, but I'm going to select this second physical location that's already on here. I'm going to actually click on add. Uh-oh. See, it'll tell you if you've missed something. That's the good thing. So this one is in city limits. That's a required field. Selected mine, add. All right. So now this is going to be a fee schedule that matches back to your jurisdiction. So this is set up when we first take a new client on, when we first set you up. So you're able to search because it's a lot of information for some of ours. I'm just going to select accountant. So we're able to select this. I'm going to hit add schedule. Oh, okay. So the good thing is there was not a tax liability. If y'all remember, I closed out the tax liability on here. So let me go back to my account search. Let's go back to this client and make sure they have a tax liability. That's what I get for closing them out. So we've realized we've closed this out, but we need to post a payment. I'm going to click on new liability. I'm going to select business license. And I'm going to do a start date, September 1. And we're going to add new liability. So now that we've added a new liability, now we are able to go post our license, hopefully successfully. All right, so I said I'm going to do my second line. This is inside city limits. I've left it 918. I was going to do a check, and we're going to hit add. And let's select accountant. Hopefully it will let us add it this time. All right, we're in business. So their certified public accountant is the license is based on gross receipts, or they want gross receipts entered. Number of units is also required. Anytime a field's required, it will highlight for you. And then it'll calculate. So I said, all right, we have 10. I still went ahead and entered my gross receipts. This is automatically going to calculate. You'll see a penalty was charged because I was late. I can add it. I can cancel it. Let me add it. So I've added this. If there is a certification that's required, and say they've provided that, so they've walked up to City Hall, they've paid you, they've given you the certification, you can upload the document. So you can actually upload that certification. This will give you the option, to come in here. You can just click on Add New Document. You don't have to put a description, but if you want certification, you want to put comments, you can. However you want to do this. Some clients like to put as much information. Some, won't put anything. We'll know because it's going to be tied to this business license payment. And then you can just add a document. So you can just go into your files, add that document, and hit Save Document. And that will be tied with that payment that you've entered in. So I'm going to return to business license. It's going to return right to this screen. So we've entered everything in. We've uploaded the document. If you need to add a note, you can. So I'm ready to hit Submit. And this is a test account, so that's why sometimes you'll see some kind of wonky screens come in on here. Let's see. So super easy. We also have a reconciliation process. So once you enter the payment, it still has to be reconciled. And we have different clients that do this different ways. We have some clients that want to do reconciliations one time a day. We have some clients where they might have a certain city staff member that enters the payments, and then maybe a supervisor reconciles them. Sometimes it's the same person, whatever works best for your city. But just know that we have that layer of reconciliation where we can give permission only to certain employees to go in and reconcile that payment. Or we can set it up for any staff member to reconcile. We have some that want to reconcile immediately after they've posted a payment. And like I said, we have some that want to wait till one time a day. But you do have to reconcile the payment. And once you reconcile it, you can also print a receipt out. So if you actually want to give that business a copy of their receipt, you can print it. I'm going to hit return. So it'll take me back to the screen. But whatever process works best for you on reconciliation. But once you actually reconcile it, you'll actually have to hit reconcile. Once you hit reconcile, it'll print out almost like a listing of anything that you've reconciled that day, or, you can print this. So if you want to print this and keep it maybe in a cash drawer or keep it tied back to a receipt, you can do that, or you can hit return. And then that payment disappears. It's no longer there. So once you reconciled it, it's gone. And then it's going to flow over into our system. So then we have we have multiple people that are going out every morning and reconciling payments off the GSC. Let's see, document upload. I know I kind of showed you document upload based on a taxpayer level, but anytime if you don't want to go into a taxpayer but still upload a document, you can always come in here and upload. It's going to work kind of the same way I showed you earlier. Maybe you have had an ordinance change or a fee schedule change. If you want to go and upload a document, and then you can reach out to our client support and says, hey, we've changed this on our fee schedule. I uploaded it to the portal. You can go pull it down. Just kind of let us know once you upload something just to make sure. User profile. If at any time you have an email that changes or anything changes on your profile, you can always go in here, update anything. You can also reset your password from your user profile. Let's see, let me go back to reports. I think I have covered everything on the reports. Delinquencies. This is a report that is coming soon. It will be delinquencies for the jurisdiction. And like I said, it's coming soon, but once you run this report, you can run it by month because we generate delinquencies every month in our system. So we'll run this report. So you can run it for a certain date that we've run it in our system. It'll show your account name, account number, account name, doing business as name. It'll show their current delinquency status, whether it's, the first month, second month, or if they're a warning notice. If we provide audit services and they're under audit, that would show on here as well. And then we split it out by 30, 60, 90, or 120. This is by days, how many days delinquent they are. It'll show the total periods. It'll show the oldest, and then a description. And you can export this report, or you can, to a PDF, comma delimited, or to Excel. All right. Well, I think we're at the point. Hey, Lori, I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I think there was some questions that have come in.
Yes, we had a few questions come in.
Okay, great.
Several questions came in about how to change your own or password yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, I hit that a little bit. Of course, one under your user profile. To me, I think the easiest way to reset your password, especially if you've kind of locked yourself out, is from the login screen. So if you can't remember your password or if you locked yourself out, you can always go to reset password. You will enter in your username right here, which for our clients, 9 times out of 10 is going to be your email address. You can only use an email address once. So that's why sometimes if you see different usernames, that's why, because that email address might already be in use. But you'll just type in your username and you'll click on change password. And then you'll be emailed a link to a new password. Okay. All right, Lori, what's our next question?
Our next question is, where can I see what a license is on hold for?
All right. So when you search by account search, you will be able to go in. Let's see. Let me use my 925 account. You'll actually click on the account number. And then under business license, anytime a license is on hold, there's going to be a hold code displayed. And then we have this legend here at the bottom. So whether it's held for units, delinquency, gross receipts, certification, client request. We have some clients that might want us to hold a certain fee schedule type or hold for certain businesses. If we audit for you, and that's part of that, might be held for audit, location. We have new business, additional schedules, underpaid, or outstanding balance. And so if you see where maybe we'd only set y'all up originally on certain holds, but you want to add additional ones, please reach out to client support and we'll have our project implementation team work with you on setting up additional holds.
Okay. Our next question is, how do we create an account?
All right. So we touched on this a little bit, but we'll kind of walk through this again. So once we search, go to the account search. You can, either search just to make sure that account's not already in our system, or if you know this is a brand new business, either way, we're going to search first just to make sure. So we've searched, we can't find that business. There's an option on your screen that says create taxpayer. And please let client support know if you do not see this create taxpayer option. So this is going to be just how a business is set up in our account, because this is going to copy over into our system of record. So you'll enter in the federal ID number, and then you'll enter in the account name. I'm going to do Connie Test. And then we also want to capture the NAICS code. But the good thing on the NAICS code, you can always search because you're not going to know all these NAICS codes. We'll do accounting. We're going to hit add. Let's do this, 600 Beacon Parkway West. We're going to do a start date. So I started on September the 1st. Zones are going to only be for a few of the jurisdictions that we administer for. So if it's not applicable, there's an NA on there. So we're going to make the mailing the same as our physical. And then we're going to enter contact information. If you have their social security number or date of birth, you could put that in. Most of the time, they're just going to provide their basic contact information. So we have that. We're going to hit submit to taxpayer. If there's anything that we've missed, wonderful thing is it tells you what's missing. So I did not enter my state. Here we go. So we're going to put Alabama in, and I've missed my state here as well. We're going to submit. Business type. See, it's foolproof for you. We're going to select corporation. All right, so we've selected our NAICS code, we entered physical mailing, made sure we had the state, entered some contact information. We're going to hit submit. All right, so now it's letting us select a liability. So we're going to have our business license up here. So we're going to select business license. A lot of our clients have an issuance fee. My sample account that I logged into does not. If you have an issuance fee, it is going to pop up and display as well, in addition to the business license. So when you add the business license liability, make sure you update the start date to match. So I had a September 1 start date, so I'm going to select September 1. Filing frequency. This is an annual license, so I've got to actually select annual. So I'm going to hit save changes. You can always preview changes, but I'm going to hit save, and then it's let me know the account number. So now I have this account number set up. So if you needed to post a payment, you could set up that account number or set up that new account. And then you can always search and you can see the new account you've set up, and you can even post a license payment.
Okay. I think we only have time for one more question.
All right.
And that would be how to update an account if you made a mistake when you created it.
No, that's a good question. All right. So we've searched for either our account number or the name. We've hit search. I'm actually going to go back into my test account. So say I put the wrong address in, we can hit edit. Each grouping of kind of contact information or mailing address information will have an edit button on each one, as you'll see on here. So we're going to go in here, edit. Let's say I entered 600 instead of 500, Beacon Parkway West, and we'll hit save changes. And then it's saved. In the same way, if I entered, the DBA, doing business as name wrong, I can edit on here. Say I entered this as Connie, but it actually need to be set up as, if it's a field that will not let you edit it, it will show up on here. It's actually on the edit, it's going to let you edit the business type, any kind of website URL, or kind of information like that. But it'll let you either save changes, or if you realize, I shouldn't have edited that, you can just cancel right out. All right. Is that all for the questions?
I think that's all for today.
Great. Well, like I said, if anytime you have any additional questions, or if you want someone to walk through the portal with you, I know it's a lot of information. And once you start, going through it by yourself, you might have more questions, or you might just want someone to kind of talk through some things. Please reach out to our client support group, and we can set up like a Teams call, or a webinar, where we can walk you through it one-on-one. That's no problem. All right. Hope everybody has a good day.